2. This would be the 3rd episode we've done. But it is the first episode in our very first, like, real seasons, because we wanted to start breaking up our show into seasons. So the month of March is going to be a whole season in and of itself. And the month of March, we're going to be doing specifically conservation and preservation. So we're super excited. Let's see. I also wanted to go over like some of our favorite species that we kind of favor when it comes to conservation and preservation. Everybody kind of knows, like, I guess what that is. But there is a difference between preservation and conservation, and we're going to go over that too. But first and foremost, my birthday's in 3 days.
Maybe see your present.
What's my present? You got me a present?
I texted you and said it will be delivered.
You know I don't read my text. What is it?
I'm not telling you.
Give me a little hint.
Bugs.
It's bugs?
You'll see.
Like arthropods?
You'll see.
Is it a spider?
No.
What is it?
I can't tell you.
Come on. Okay, well, whatever. Show me. Okay. So I'll be 25 again. I'm just kidding. I'll be 36. What?
Dang it.
What? Anyway, I will be turning 36, so I'm old AF. I feel it in my tennis elbow. I'm working on that. What is that?
It's an insect hotel.
Shut the
You put it
fuck
outside
up.
so they can like spread their.
Heck, I'm so sorry, Chris. I was supposed to wait 9 minutes. Shut the heck up. 5 minutes.
So it's for like all these different bugs. And
Yes. Okay, so real quick, because in every podcast, I always hear people just like ranting for the first couple of minutes. We are completely renovating my backyard. So we're in my kitchen right now. We've just been like renovating my house. But my backyard, I'm turning from a yard into a garden because I want to start working towards helping the planet. I'm very, very passionate about conservation, preservation, learning all of the things and trying to devote my actions into being more aware of the things that I do that could potentially hurt the environment, like single-use plastics. And we're going to talk about those today. So for the topic for March, obviously we're doing preservation and conservation. What is preservation? Preservation is the action of preserving something. So if you have something, it's keeping it maintained and preserved. All right. It's the act of preserving or protecting natural resources in the sense of, or the activity or process of keeping something valued alive and something that's valued intact or free from damage. So literally that's preservation. And if you know about like preserving your car or preserving your home, it's keeping it clean, keeping it dusted, keeping it, if like we just hung new trim and my cats have been scratching the crap out of it. Sorry, Chris. I'm working on it. I swear I am. I'm working on it. I corrected myself. Whatever. It's more relatable. This isn't PG. It's actually PG plus. I made that up. Okay, so it's just the act of preserving. So conservation is a little bit different. Conservation is the prevention of wasteful use of a resource. So preserving is keeping something well maintained, and conservation is preventing overuse of a natural resource. So when you hear somebody say, oh, turn your water off when you're brushing your teeth, when you don't need to be having the water run, turn it off. That's conservation. When you hear someone say we have a forest that's protected and you're not allowed to hunt there, that's preservation. So they're two completely different things, but I want to go over why they're so important. And part of our job as educators, because we're not just rehabbers and we're not just rescuers, we are educators as well. We go into schools, we go into, we've spoken in front of the mayor, we've spoken in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. We get hired to do shows all of the time. And one of the biggest things that we do is educate. And what's more important on educating when it comes to animals than talking about preservation and conservation? So they obviously help maintain the ecological balance of our planet by protecting biodiversity. And what is biodiversity? So most of you probably know what biodiversity is. It's life of all kinds, right? So and they're found in like obviously humans are everywhere, but there are different kinds of humans. There are bugs everywhere, but there are different kinds of bugs. Like you're not going to find certain spiders that live in Ohio. You won't find them in Canada or in, Australia or vice versa. So that's biodiversity. That's the diverse life forms all over the earth. So why is it important? Obviously, it's important because there's a lot of things that happen when we don't conserve and preserve our ecosystems. For instance, Haley and I work a lot. I guess I don't have to yell because this microphone is right here. I'm being so loud. I'm so sorry, you guys. Let me shut the freak up for a second. Okay, so I'm going to be quieter. Can you guys hear me like really loud? You probably can. I forgot that we had this nifty microphone.
I know. I was like, why
I'm going to use my ASMR voice.
Please don't. I don't like that. I don't like that. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Ew, I didn't like that. Okay, so why is it important to preserve and conserve our planet now that I know I can talk to this microphone instead of screaming at my phone clear up there? We're getting there, guys. We're new at this. So specifically where we live, we work with a lot of wild animals. We work with a lot of rehabbers who, we live in Ohio, so what?
We can hear you really good.
We can hear you really good.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, I
My
was
ears
really screaming. I'm so sorry. I'm also a very loud human in general. It got me into a lot of trouble when I was younger. Well, that's not really particularly the thing that got me in trouble, but it's one of the things. But working with rehabbers in the area, we work with a lot of wild animals. And during the winter months in Ohio specifically, and this is the biodiversity that we're talking about, specifically in Ohio, our winters are very, very important. And the reason that they are so important is because we rely on those winters to get really, really cold to kill off certain bacteria, certain viruses, and certain parasites. If our winters are warmer, like they have been in the past 5 years, they've been very, very critically warm. And I do believe that's due to global warming. You can believe whatever you want. I've done adequate amount of research to convince myself that that is a real thing and that we are facing some catastrophic catastrophic times in the near future if we don't get things under control. So specifically in Ohio, if our winters are warm, what happens is there are certain viruses and there are certain parasites that kill off our wildlife. Those parasites die off usually in the winter, and it kind of curbs the growth of those. One thing in particular is distemper. For the last 3 years that we've been rehabbing in Ohio, we have seen more cases of distemper than we ever have in probably 10 years. It's out of control because our winter months aren't freezing. So then when the animal is pooping outside, the poop isn't getting frozen. That's not killing the virus. That's another animal coming along and getting infected by that virus. So these are things people don't really think about. They're like, oh, it's getting warmer. What's the big deal? There's actually a very big deal when your ecosystem relies on those cold fronts to come along and maintain the health and wellness of that ecosystem. These are things people who don't research this sort of thing might just casually undermine as if it doesn't matter. The reason that we are so passionate about educating is we really want people to understand how severe this could be if we don't start taking care of our planet and nurturing our ecosystems. So now that that's out of the way, one of the big things that we really want to do for the month of March, I cannot wait to get that tablet. So
ADHD.
So this is not a what's it called when somebody's, this is not a sponsored ad right now, but I'm gonna go off. It should be. My husband just ordered me the, what the fuck's it called?
Remarkable.
Yes, the Remarkable tablet. So I am a list. If you guys are like me, I am a list maker. I have lists everywhere. When Haley and I would go to the facility, she'd get there in the morning and I'm like, let's make a list. And there would be lists just taped they're everywhere. Sticky notes, notebook pads. So I found this tablet. It's called the Remarkable. And it's basically a
digitalized notebook, essentially.
A digitalized notebook. But you can like write just like a notepad pad.
Yeah.
There's no backlight. It's literally like a piece of paper. And then you can store your notes in specific folders and you can organize everything. I'm very excited to see if I have the capacity to do such things or if I'm going to go back to the trusted pen and paper.
Well, it's expensive.
It is not cheap. And so if I don't end up using it, I will sell it again.
You have a 100-day guarantee.
Okay, perfect. So obviously, key points of conservation and preservation are biodiversity protection, climate regulation, resource sustainability, human well-being, economic benefits. So by us being more conservative with the things that we use, protecting our natural resources and making sure that there's plenty, by us preserving the things that are already here, not only will it help our ecosystem thrive, but it is called a system for a reason. Those things will then come back and benefit us as well. So we went ahead and picked some things that like we specifically wanted to talk about, species specifically, that benefit the ecosystem that you might not have known and how they benefit the ecosystem. So I'll start with my first one and then Hayley will go, unless you want to go first.
No, I do not.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
It feels like you're super into this. Hayley just had surgery and I don't know how she's here, but here we are. So basically we wanted to pick species that of course you all would know about, and some of these you might already know, like how they impact the ecosystem, how they are relevant to human existence, etc. But I picked butterflies. And so
What was that?
I love butterflies. You don't like butterflies? I thought, oh, I'm so creepy and so awkward.
It's the flying.
Butterflies are creepy?
They're not like creepy.
I thought you were saying I was creepy.
No, you are too. But
butterflies are not creepy.
They're really pretty.
They're literally everyone's favorite bug.
Well, have they seen a close-up of their face?
Probably not, but if you do it, show it to the camera.
Because it's a little, and like moths. Moths? How do you say it? Moth?
A moth, yeah.
Moth. They're even more terrifying.
You want to hear something really terrifying? Today, my sister's little girl, who's like 3, came up to her and said, "Mom, I can't wait to see my dad." And Audra said, "Oh, well, he'll be home at 3." And she said, "No, not that dad, my other dad." And Audra's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "He's got big red eyes." And Caitlin was like, "It's the Mothman." If you guys have heard of the Mothman, we live very close to, where is the Mothman?
Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant. I don't know why I just forgot that. And so like very close, like we could just get in the car and take a day trip there. So that's kind of like one of the things that our area is like known for. Appalachia is just known in general for all their creepy bullshit crap. Sorry.
We're past the mark. It's fine.
We are past the mark. And he keeps having us back. So we must I think that they are
can't see
cute.
from here and I can't reach.
Yeah, you don't want to get up either because
Just Google it.
the incision.
See, I respect all the bugs. I love them all.
Right,
But do they look like aliens? Yeah.
okay, but a wasp is way worse than a butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
Wasps scare me.
Wasps are mean.
And I'm not really scared of much. So butterflies are known as pollinators. There's a lot of different kinds of pollinators, bees, etc. You guys all know. But they are special not only because they are pollinators, but because they're also climate change indicators. So because they're really highly sensitive, because they are exothermic, and most of you are reptile people, you know what exothermic means. They can't thermoregulate. So, but they are very sensitive. So whereas some animals like, I'll give an example of an iguana versus a ball python. Iguanas can withstand a much broader, temperature range than a ball python. So they are more like the ball python, only super, super specific and intricate. So any kind of change in the temperature in the ecosystem is literally catastrophic for butterflies. it can significantly change their physiology and behavior. So that is why they're such valuable indicators of climate change. And the impacts of climate change can alter how butterflies carry pollen, which is one of the main reasons we're able to sustain life. And this year, actually, like I was telling you, my backyard, I'm trying to turn into a garden instead of a yard, which we are very diligently working on. Our chickens keep trying to destroy that, but we're going to do it. So we planted a bunch of milkweed, but it's imperative that like if you're going to be doing something like preservation and you want to plant things to help your species in your area, I think it's wonderful, but make sure you're doing your research. This is a good reason. What, they can't hear me?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm so loud. There's just no way. So literally monarch butterflies specifically eat milkweed. I love monarch butterflies and they're crucial to our ecosystem as well. I bought the milkweed that I know is indigenous to my area because there is a parasite. It's called Ophriocistis something. It's OE is the abbreviated term, but it's Ophriocistis electrosceria. It's not much more difficult to say than some of the tarantulas we keep. But it's called OE. It weakens and disrupts the migration patterns. So if you're trying to preserve an area and you're working towards like maybe being better to the honeybees and you're wanting to plant flowers to help them pollinate or make their honey, it is imperative that you buy specific species of plants, ones that are indigenous to your location and ones that you know are safe for the insects you're trying to feed. If you don't, you could end up hurting more than helping. So I am encouraging you, yes, to get into preservation, but also do your research. So they're also contributors to biodiversity, and we learned that biodiversity is the diverse range of all species on Earth. And they're also wonderful pest controls. And the reason is because caterpillars, which obviously is a baby butterfly, they will eat harmful insects that can actually potentially cause harm to the ecosystem, specifically ones that are invasive. And speaking of invasive species, that is our next topic, right? For this month.
Mm-hmm.
So this week's topic is animals who help the ecosystem. Next week's topic will be ones that hurt the ecosystem. So anyway, so they reduce pollutants. The reason that they reduce pollutants is because they actually are able to absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So high levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide do contribute to global warming. As I said before, I believe in global warming. I know it's like a thing that some people don't, and that's fine. But the reason that global warming is happening is because of these high levels of carbon dioxide from our pollutants. So if the butterfly is absorbing those, it is actually helping to reduce those pollutants in the atmosphere. So butterflies are super important. I just got so distracted.
I can't laugh harder.
Oh no.
But every time you like are thinking but trying to talk at the same time, you do like spirit hands.
Oh yeah.
You like fling them out.
Oh no, I know.
And you like jump a little bit.
So listen, when I was a kid, this is a true freaking story. I'm trying to be so for real serious right now, and it's hard for me. So when I was a kid, my mom used to make me sit on my hands. Did your parents ever do that to you?
What?
Make you sit on your hands when you talked?
No.
Well, I am a quite animated human when I speak, so anyway, she would make me sit on my hands so that I wasn't flailing them when I spoke. And I remember like trying to talk, but like also trying to move my hands. And it was like,
That's actually scary. Why'd you do that?
So before we started the podcast, I was trying to make the screen bigger so that I could see like what was going on. And I was climbing on the counter and I slid on my paper and I was like, the countdown was happening for us to go live. And I was like, oh my God, what would you do if I just slid off this freaking counter when we were live? And she's like, I'd just laugh and leave you there.
What am I gonna do?
I don't know. You can't lift me.
You're already down and out.
All right, whatever with the butterflies. Plant some milkweed. Make sure that it is indigenous to your area, or you'll end up killing the butterflies with parasites. And do your research on indigenous plants to help preserve your ecosystem. It's your turn. In a nutshell.
Remind me to talk to you about the garden with the nematode.
Nematodes? It's another SpongeBob reference. Living in the spotlight, having a wonderful time.
Okay, get my shit together.
Okay, you got it together. We're good. You guys, it's been a really crazy week. Oh my God, your notes are so nice. Why are mine so shitty?
I did them this morning.
God, okay.
Okay. All right. So mine is on turtles, and turtles of all, broad spectrum.
The biodiversity of turtles.
Turtles. Why they're essential.
Do you remember
To the
Rocco's Modern Life?
ecosystem. No.
Chris, did you ever watch Rocco's Modern Life? Whoever's watching.
Vanessa's in here.
Vanessa. Okay. All the cool people watch Rocco's Modern Life, and all I can think is of Filbert, the turtle. And when he would fall over on the back of a shell and he would just rock and be like, I'm nauseous. I'm nauseous. And they'd have to come like flip him back up.
That's new news.
Ice 101.
Oh my God.
Again, not a sponsored ad. Okay.
You know, I couldn't brush my teeth for like a month after that. I had to use bubblegum flavor.
Ew. Oh, yeah. It's like aftershock. Okay.
Anyways, back
Sorry,
to
guys.
animals.
Sorry.
We're unprofessional. Turtles. Okay. They maintain habitats, transfer nutrients, and regulate food webs.
The heck is a food web? Oh, like a food chain?
Yeah.
Okay.
They reference it to food web and the
That
ecosystem.
makes sense.
So turtles, they bring seeds and necessary plant fertilizers when they travel. That creates essential plant growth to the ecosystem. By doing this, or how they do it, they carry seeds through their digestive tract from one habitat to another. This helps plant growth and ecosystem to thrive via their stool.
So they shit it out.
Yeah. They shitted.
So they're poop planting.
Well, yeah, that's the best fertilizer is poop. So they're just like eating all of this like plant growth,
And then they're
seeds and all, and then they're just like traveling
I'm so immature.
from one spot to another
Yeah.
and just pooping, and then that just plants it.
That's
And not just in the waterways, terrestrial too, like on land. We don't know.
Yeah. Oh, so sea turtles do it in the
Mhm.
ocean. Okay.
And aquatic, like the sliders and
Yeah.
everything. So this is gonna be a quick one on my part because Adrienne gagged for a long time, so I'm good on time. Anyways, it is said that the turtles have survived through 5 mass extinctions. So they are very hardy. They have something in their bone, it's called nitrogen and phosphorus, which are essential nutrients to the plants. So when they age and get older, they actually release the phosphorus and nitrogen from their bones because they don't need it anymore to grow. So when they get to a certain age, they release it, which then is essential to the plants.
What?
Fun fact.
I had no idea.
Yeah. I'm getting through my notes. I'm not here today.
That's okay. Are you done?
No. They travel between habitats and ecosystems, and they follow very specific routes. So that's why when people go and pluck these turtles and everything out of the wild, it was like, oh, I saved it, you didn't.
Yeah. And you can't re-release it.
No, because they follow a very specific path their whole life, whether it's land or waterways. They
Isn't
follow
it like
it
a 1 mile radius
Yeah.
too? Yeah.
They follow it very precise. And that also helps the ecosystem because as they're doing it, they're fertilizing, they're spreading the seeds and yada, yada, yada. So if you go and take them, you're not only hurting the ecosystem, but you're
essentially killing that turtle.
killing that turtle.
And not just turtles, there's a lot of.
And it may not be quickly killing them, but it's definitely going to shorten their lifespan if it's not immediate. Because
they don't know where they are.
Yeah. And turtles in the wild and stuff, they just get certain nutrients that we can't provide. We can try and mimic it for so long, but
yeah, and they will spend their whole lives trying to get back home.
Yeah.
Trying to get back to where they came from.
They're also considered a cleaning crew. So what they do is they go, like the aquatics, they go to the bottom and they eat all like decaying matter, dead animals, stuff like that. So that helps with the bacteria in the ecosystem. They actually help dwindle that down, which when I was researching that, I didn't realize that because turtles are gross sometimes.
Yeah.
They poop a lot.
They poop a lot.
Poop a lot. But what they eat compared to what they release, eating it is more beneficial than what their stored waste is. And I'm done.
You're done. I knew it was coming soon because I'm looking and I'm watching as you read. Okay, to be fair, Haley's actually not even supposed to be out of bed. She's supposed to be resting. So I took a lot of notes on my species because this is like just a weird week for us anyway. So again, we each picked two. What time are we at?
1:27. I spent 4 minutes talking.
Wait, 1:27. No, I mean, like, what's our time right now?
Oh, how am I supposed to know?
27 minutes, it looks like.
Well, we started at 1, so I'm assuming it's 27
Oh, I'm
minutes.
so dumb. Wah, wah. Okay, so I'll move on to my next one. I love that we're being laughed at. Haley always takes good notes. Excuse me.
Vanessa, I usually do take very good notes, but
My notes are better today than hers are. Okay, so I'm super, super excited about this species. So my next species is phytoplankton. And most of you probably don't realize just how essential phytoplankton is for our entire earth. But if I had to have an argument with somebody about what the most essential and beneficial species on planet Earth would be, I would argue that it is phytoplankton. 150% over and over.
I just like the name.
Yeah.
Sounds like fighting plankton.
Fighting hermit crabs.
No, okay.
Oh my gosh. Now we have to say, because you just said we're going to get canceled, and I said fighting hermit crabs, and
it sounds like
it sounds like we're having fight clubs with hermit crabs in our, yeah. So Haley was at the beach when she was younger, long time ago, and she did not realize that wild hermit crabs were different than captive bred hermit crabs. She was young again, and she put them into a bucket, and they fought each other for the shells, and they assassinated.
It was very traumatizing.
Yeah. So
none of them died.
They didn't die?
No.
Okay.
That I know of.
I struggle to believe that, but
when I tell you,
I'm thinking they all probably did die once you put them back.
When I tell you, it was very traumatizing. They literally grabbed each other by the claw and jiggled them out of the shell. And I will never forget it.
Yeah.
And now I feel terrible.
I mean, you live and you learn, right? I used to, never mind. Anyway, when I was a little kid, I grew up on a farm. I used to take the butts off of fireflies and put them on my face like war paint.
I think everyone did.
Okay. I've never let myself go for that one. Like, I punished myself my whole life for that.
Why did people do that?
I don't know. We would take the butts off of fireflies, and we would wipe the glow stuff on our faces like war paint.
Yeah, why do people
freaking chase each other?
Like, I saw people would write on their shirts with it.
Yeah. Yes. It's tragic, and I've never forgiven myself for the horrific things that I did to those fireflies. Anyway, moving on, phytoplankton. So Phytoplankton are also known as the lungs of the earth. And because they are literally responsible for producing 50% of the earth's oxygen. Can you just like think about that for a second? So phytoplankton produces 50% of the earth's oxygen. So they are literally considered the earth's lungs.
What do they look like?
They're tiny. They're little tiny. Okay, so they produce oxygen through a process called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. No one, anyone, Chris knows.
We lost all the
SpongeBob.
viewers.
Everyone likes SpongeBob. I can't believe you don't remember that. So they produce oxygen through a process called photosynthesis. A lot of people don't know what photosynthesis is. It is a chemical process.
Which one is it?
They take the light energy from the sun, and then they convert it into chemical energy.
This looks like the stuff that was on Magic School Bus.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. When they go down and they are the size of phytoplankton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miss Frizzle
Sorry,
takes them.
I interrupted you.
No, that's a real thing. And she explains in the Magic School Bus episode that we're talking about how they are the beginning of the food chain, and each thing eats the thing. And then remember, she's eating the tuna fish sandwich at the end, and Miss Frizzle says, Wanda, you're actually eating that phytoplankton that we saw or whatever.
See, I remember Magic School Bus.
That's because Magic School Bus was the shit.
Yeah, and they tried to remake it, and it's not the same.
Yeah,
They try to remake
you
it?
can't remake classics like that.
No.
So plants absorb sunlight through chlorophyll,
Oh my god.
which, by the way, I drink on a daily basis, and I have for many, many years. Chlorophyll is literally what makes plants green, if you didn't know that. So they collect the sunlight, they absorb the sunlight through chlorophyll in their chloroplates, sorry. And the plants take in water from the soil and carbon dioxide from the air. So that's how they're getting the moisture and the carbon dioxide. And then the light energy, what?
Why so many notes?
Well, I like to take notes. The light energy from the sun is used to convert water and carbon dioxide into oxygen and carbohydrates. So plants store the energy in the carbohydrates, much like we do. And then they use the stored energy when they need food. So specifically in environments, this is very beneficial in environments where sunlight dims in certain seasons. Like for us, it's winter, and I think most places it's during winter. But then there's a place in Alaska in which there's no sun for like 30 days or something. It's like 30 days of darkness
I love that.
in this place in Alaska. And so when the plants absorb that sunlight and they can take that energy, they can actually store it for many months, and they can use it over time when they don't have the exposure to the sunlight. So phytoplankton is also a critical base in the ocean's food chain, and they actually maintain the entire food chain in the ocean. It's very unfortunate, but humans are, of course, disrupting phytoplankton with pollutants such as microplastics, which is devastating to our aquatic life. And that's just one way that humans are disrupting the ecosystem in the ocean. There are many, many ways. Don't get me started because I pretty much know them all. This is something that I'm very passionate about. So we won't get into that because sometimes my passion gets a little carried away. But the microplastics are impacting phytoplankton, their community structure, and they're potentially going to start impacting how they produce, and then of course how they create photosynthesis, which is going to be catastrophic for all life on Earth because they do maintain half of the global oxygen levels. So just a way that we in our household try to, I guess, widen the curb of the microplastics issue is we really try hard. I know I'm drinking a Starbucks coffee, but this is a treat for me. We try really, really hard to stay away from single-use plastics. We have no saran wrap in my house. We actually don't use plastic toothbrushes. We don't use plastic scrubbers for our sink. I make pretty much all of my laundry detergent, my dish soap, everything I make, I use in reusable glass jars. I have no Ziploc baggies. Our trash bags are biodegradable. I compost pretty much all of my food. So obviously, I don't expect everybody to do things like that, but if one person just replaced their Ziploc bags with biodegradable Ziploc bags, we would curb if just one person does it, you curb the significance of microplastics in the atmosphere by a lot. And studies are now showing that microplastics are even being found clear in the middle of the ocean, at the bottom of the ocean, disrupting ecosystems that we've not even been able to research quite yet because we're not able to enter those ecosystems. So our trash is literally in places that we can't even research, which is so wild to me. And it also exists in all life on Earth now. Scientists are basically saying there's not a single organism on Earth that is not exposed to and does not have in their biology makeup, and there's not one single species that does not contain microplastics, which is so devastating. I mean, the thought that we're doing that to our planet makes me actually lose sleep at night. But aside from that, if you're not one to really care about the ecosystem, they also are drawing blood. There's a human experiment going on where you can actually donate blood and plasma and bone marrow, and they can actually test those for microplastics. And I think it was 130,000 people volunteered in the last 5 months. It's some kind of crazy number. And out of 130,000 people, 100% of them had microplastics in their cells, in their nucleus of their cell, which is supposed to be protected. So how did it get in there? It's also in the mitochondria of the cell, which is also supposed to be protected. So taking that into account, it really does make you want to try to do something to help our planet, but also to help ourselves.
So I wonder if the C8 is in the animals as well.
100%.
Have they tested it?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah, actually so C8, if you guys don't know, we live in the Mid-Ohio Valley. We live by DuPont. DuPont is 20 minutes up the road from us. And if you don't know what DuPont is or C8, I really encourage you to do some research on that. This stuff is
Watch Dark Water.
Dark Water is a good
It's like
movie.
just dramatized documentary essentially.
Pretty much. Yeah. And they're good actors in it, famous actors. So it's a very serious thing that happened in our area. I personally make my own soil to garden in because I'm afraid to use our soil in the yard because there's so much C8 in our area. But it's also in your cookware.
In the water.
It's in the water. It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much everywhere. And these are known as forever chemicals. And again, I won't get into all of that. But I do post a lot of stuff on my personal Instagram and Facebook about those types of things and how you can avoid them and whatever. I'm very into all of that. I'm also working on, if you guys see behind us, all of my little apothecary back there. I'm also working on finishing up my certifications to be a naturopathic practitioner. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically just using naturopathic medicine instead of allopathic medicine. So I'm very involved in that sort of stuff. And I am not just some idiot out here talking out the side of my head. Haley and I study this stuff on a daily basis. We know what we're talking about. So anyway, the single-celled organism known as phytoplankton is the primary producer of aquatic ecosystems. So without these, our ecosystems in the aquatic world would cease to exist. There would be actually no life left in the oceans, in the rivers, in the lakes, anywhere. That would then obviously cause catastrophic damage to the rest of the ecosystems, as all ecosystems benefit from one another. So without phytoplankton, krill would die, leading to a catastrophic chain reaction, which would endanger all the life on planet Earth. So protecting phytoplankton is probably one of the biggest things I advocate for. Obviously, they're very essential and crucial for aquatic life, but that causes a chain reaction to everything else, including you, your grandchildren, your grandchildren's children, etc. So how can we do things to help maintain phytoplankton? The first thing I encourage people to always do is research. Make sure that you're researching these topics. If you don't want to take my word for it because you don't know who I am, I totally understand. Get into it. Start finding organizations around you that work with conservation and preservation. Start educating, sharing posts, making it be known that you care about the environment, where you're getting your research from. But also making small changes at home. Taking out single-use plastics is a huge, huge thing. I mean, they make biodegradable Ziplocs. I use beeswax paper instead of what's it called? Saran wrap or whatever it's called. I haven't used that in years. Bamboo instead of plastic is another really amazing thing. Like things that you wouldn't even think of, like your kitchen sponge. You know, we use bamboo. Toothbrushes, we use bamboo. Dental flossers, we use bamboo.
They also make bamboo toilet paper.
They do. You guys don't want to get me started on the production of toxic materials given to humans. That's a whole other
15-part series.
That's a whole other series in and of itself. But in the expense of our ecosystem, I do like to dig into these things that we are doing to create such a mess with the animals who we share this planet with. So that is all I have on phytoplankton. I do hope you guys do some research yourself. It's really remarkable information. The smallest organism is the single-celled organism, and that is phytoplankton. So the fact that a single-celled organism can literally create 50% of the Earth's oxygen and be so imperative to our planet is insane. And it just reminds you to take very good care of the things around you. Are we at time? Is that what you were looking at? Okay, I was like, dang.
I mean, pretty close.
Because I talk a lot.
Because you started your segment at 27 minutes.
I know I appear to be like kind of a dumbass, but I swear I'm not.
You spent 15 minutes.
I spent 15 minutes on phytoplankton?
I think if my math's correct.
Well, the more you guys know. So, as we've said in the past, we will have 3 episodes of the topic. The topic for the month of March is conservation and preservation. If you don't like this topic, you don't have to listen to us through the month of March. But the month of April, I don't know if we actually have do we have a topic yet? Yes, we do. Oh, so I'm wrong. So, okay, guys, let me just give you a little clarity on what we're doing for the month of March. So the month of March, I wanted to do conservation and preservation because it's becoming spring. After Mother's Day, we start planting our gardens and we start planting seeds that read through the summer. So I'm trying to encourage you guys to like do some research on indigenous plants that are beneficial for the ecosystem. So you guys can start doing that now. So week 1 are our favorite beneficial species for the ecosystem. Week 2 is going to be animals which are going extinct or being watched due to the lowering or changing habitats which are needed for the ecosystem. So week 2 is going to be all about animals that are needed but that are going extinct and what's going to happen when they do go extinct. Then week 3 is going to be like things that we can do to help the ecosystem. Week 4, I'm encouraging everybody, this is the last Thursday of the month, to send in your stories, to send in your ideas, to send in pretty much all of your feedback. We want it. But listener stories are very much appreciated. We want to know what you know. So send them in. It doesn't have to be on this topic, or it can be all about this topic. It does not matter to us. We just want to hear what you have to say. And then going into season 2, that will be when we start talking about invasive species. So the 2-part spring series is going to be obviously all about our ecosystem. Invasive species is super exciting. We're going to do reptiles in Florida. We're going to do unexpected invasive species that you wouldn't even think would be invasive. And then the 5 most invasive species due to interference of humans. So we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. We hope that you tune in next week if we weren't too boring. Hopefully Haley feels better, but if not, it'll just be me blabbing again about microplastics.
I'll be fine.
So
I'll be fine.
we have another podcast to record, and our other podcast is about conspiracy theories. Hit us up. It's called The Great Big Pot of Everything. So we will see you guys next week. Chris, thanks for having us, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Is that what you're supposed to say? See you in the next one. I think that's coined. TM. Somebody has that coined, right?
What does TM mean?
Like TM, like you coined it, like it's yours. Like when you have a brilliant idea, so no one takes it, you TM it, right? TM.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, we're done. We're done speaking. I'm so sorry. What time did we go over our time?